wanted to give you a little bit of an update about how this came to be and introduce our speakers today. So we have, as you know, regular residential and housing convenings for all of you lovely advocates. And this bubbled up as a topic that was important to a lot of folks of helping survivors that they're working with navigate their utility bills. And I want to give a little shout out to Sween Smith from Casa Mirna, who I know is on this call, who connected us with Kathleen Gilio and Alicine Francois, who are here today from Eversource, and I'll let them introduce themselves a little bit too. But they're here today to help us unpack that utility bill and figure that all out and take that back into our own lives and take it back to the clients that we're working with. So I will kick that to them in just a sec. We are going to just go through the program. So you are free to use the chat, and I will keep an eye out for that. And unless it's like a clarifying question, we're just going to keep going. And then we'll have some time at the end for questions. Sound okay? All right. Friends, thank you for being here. And I will kick it to you to introduce yourselves and get us started.
That introduction, Greta. Good evening or good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alicine Francois, and I am the Manager of Community Strategy and Engagement here at Eversource. I am joined by my colleague, Kathleen Gilio, and I'll have her say hi in a second. But I wanted to thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and share some very important information about our energy bills. There's a lot of questions and concerns as rates are increasing. And, this year we've had one of the coldest winters than that we've had in the last couple of years. And so, there's a lot of usage. So this topic is timely, and certainly, one of the goals of our department is to get this information into the hands of our customers, particularly those customers who need to have access and understand some of the programs that we have available to assist. So again, thank you so much for inviting us. I will walk you through the presentation, and I know that many of you have clients who also could benefit from this information. So we definitely would offer an invitation to come out and meet with your clients in person to do this presentation. And the lovely thing about when Kathy and I partner to deliver this presentation, Kathy is available to review customers' bills, and she can sign them up for discount programs that they're eligible for right then and there. So that's one of the sweet spots about this program. And certainly, if most of you live within our service territories, you also are eligible for these discounts based on eligibility. So it's always good to make sure that the staff understands the programs before we deliver them to your clients. So today I'm going to walk you through understanding your electric bill. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the different components of your bill, some of the supplier options, provide a high-level energy efficiency overview, talk about the programs to help, talk about protecting you from scams, which is a huge topic, and then we'll entertain any questions that you have. So understanding your bill. So your electric bill is divided into two main categories. And on the screen, you'll see we've got 1 and 2. So you're going to always have a supply portion of your bill, and then you're going to have a delivery portion of your bill. At the very top of your bill, you're going to always have the total amount due. So you will always see that. And then the lower part of your bill, I want to just kind of bring your attention to where it says ABC Company. That is your supplier. We're going to talk a little bit about your supplier in a few minutes, but everybody should know who their supplier is and make sure that that supplier is the person that you want or intended to have as the agency that's providing your electricity. There is choice around that. Some people think they have Eversource as their supplier, and they don't. So that's why I want to bring that to your attention. Um, and then the other thing I want to highlight on this page is the news to you section. A lot of customers, sometimes when there's changes, whether it's to rates or there's important information that the company wants to share with their customers, they will put it in that news to you section. And I know most customers, when they open the bill, the first thing they want to see is how much do I owe? But we do encourage you to take a look at the full bill because that news to you section will provide key information on any changes that are coming down the pipe that you may need to know about. And we did receive feedback from customers that said, if this is so important, you need to highlight it or put it in red. So we are in the process of revamping the electric bill, just so that you know, because we're taking some of the feedback that we've received from customers into consideration and incorporating those into this new bill redesign that we're working on. On the first page of your bill, you will also see your electric use summary. And this gives you an overview of what you typically use in a month on average. How many kilowatt hours are you using in a month? This person is showing that the month, their average usage was 36 kilowatt hours. And kilowatt hours is how we measure units of electricity. So you'll hear me reference kilowatt hours throughout the presentation. So that's the first page of your bill. Now let me move on to the second page of your bill. Second page of your bill will always bring forth your amount due. But what it would also do right under item number 1, it will give you a breakdown. So if there is a past due balance, it will be listed here. And it will also show you the different charges, the electric supply charge, the delivery charge, and if there's any credits to your bill. Under item number 2, it will shows you how much electricity you have used for the month. And we usually look at kind of a monthly cycle, and then we also look on a monthly basis. So if we're in the second part of the month for the year, so your February bill will show your January usage and your February usage. And as the months continue, you'll be able to see the trends of your usage. There's also information on how to contact the company. And then under item number 3, it gives a breakdown of your supplier charges and your delivery charges. Again, one of the feedback that we received was customers wanted a little bit more information and definition around what these charges are. So the new bill redesign will provide that information. There's a reminder here, and I have worked at the company for many years. And when I first joined the company, we used to generate electricity. We no longer are an energy generating company. We do not generate power. We purchase electricity. So we are just an energy delivery company. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And then item number 4 down here, actually, this gives you information on how to contact the company. So the next page talks about, dives a little bit deeper into your supply charge. Eversource purchases electricity from third party, from open markets. And so we do purchase electricity from different parts of the state, whether it's Kentucky, certain parts of Pennsylvania. We also do purchase some electricity from Canada. But the key point that I want to make here is that we do not make a profit from our supply charges. Whatever we pay for supply electricity is what we charge the customer. There's no markup and there's no profit to the company. And if you're on the basic service rates at Eversource. Our rates do go up twice a year, once in February and then again in August. However, we don't just arbitrarily make those increases. We have to go through the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities to get approval for any rate changes. We did get approval for this past February's increase, and some people will see that slight increase in March. In a little bit, I will talk to you a little bit about some of the credits. If you've listened to the news, you might have heard, or if you listened to the governor, you might have heard that because this has been one of the coldest winters in the last few years, that and energy companies has worked with the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities and with the regulators and with the state to come up with a credit for customers. So customers will see a $30 credit in their probably in their March bill because it was effective February, but you won't see it until your March bill. And then there will be a $20 credit in your March bill, which you probably will see in April, and then in April, which you probably will see in May. And these are offsets to help customers during the colder months. These fees will be recovered in those months when usage goes down in the summer months. Um, you are charged by your usage, and so this is why you'll hear usage. Usage is a key theme in your supply charge and in your delivery charge. So whatever your supply rate is, it's going to be times by your usage. And whatever your delivery rate is, it will be times by your usage. And that will provide your supply charge and your delivery charge. Before I go to the next slide, I do want to talk about third-party suppliers. And so when I opened the presentation, the first page of your bill, it did have at the bottom who your supplier is. So customers do have choice, and there are third-party suppliers who are selling their product to customers. There's nothing wrong with that. These are legitimate companies that, they do the same thing we do. They go out and they purchase supply, energy, and they make that electricity available to customers. They do have to use our lines to be able to get their electricity to you. So you will always receive an Eversource bill. But the name of that supplier will be on the first page of your bill. That's why I pointed it out earlier. One thing I do want to just highlight, and you can find additional information about the different third-party suppliers who operate in Massachusetts. If you go to Energy Switch Massachusetts, there is a website, and you can go under that, under mass.gov, you will see the link, and you'll be able to see the list of energy suppliers, and you'll be able to see their rates, and you can make some comparisons. One thing that I do want to point out is for our customers to be aware, and if you are signing up for a third-party supplier, just ensure that you are reading the small print, because often what we have found in feedback from our customers is customers are enticed or engaged to sign up for third-party suppliers based on a rate that may be lower than Eversource's rate. And then what happens is in the small print in the contract allows them to increase the rate maybe in 6 months, and then again in another 6 months. And then before you know it, those rates may be somewhat higher than our standard basic rate. And in order to get out of those contracts, you have to pay a fee. And sometimes those fees can be upwards of $200 or more. So I do encourage customers to read the small print, make sure you understand what you're signing up for, and certainly you do have a choice, but I want to make sure that our customers are doing so in a smart way. trying to advance my screen. Okay. So we do have, there are in some parts of the state, there are community choice aggregation programs. So these are programs that states and some towns will work out. And so they do the same thing. On behalf of their residents, they will go out and they will solicit um, electricity and they will offer it to their residents at a competitive rate. Um, because we've got a wide audience here and I'm not sure where different participants are from, I'm not able to identify or share with you which towns do have municipal aggregation on this call. However, you can reach out to your town or your city and inquire if they do have a municipal aggregation program. That's what they're typically called. And those programs are good. They're pretty competitive. Most of the times their rates teeter very closely with the basic standard rate that we offer. Um, and so if you're on a community aggregation program, that's great. You can't go wrong with whether if you're on the Eversource rate or if you are with your local town or communities program. All right, so now let me talk a little bit about delivery. So delivery charges are broken down into three main categories. There's the transmission fee, distribution operations and services fee, and public policy. So the transmission fee and the distribution charges really is, how we get electricity from our suppliers to your home. So in terms of transmission, wherever we purchase electricity out in the market, we have to get it to the local market. And our transmission lines, which carry the very highest voltage, are what we use to transmit electricity across the region. National Grid does the same thing. These lines, again, we call them the superhighway of energy transport because they can carry electricity from one part of the country to another part of the country. Those lines are regulated by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which is a federal agency, and they regulate how that high voltage electricity and those lines transmit electricity across the country. Most people do not identify transmission lines by looking up because they are typically in right of ways and for us to be able to maintain and make sure that those lines are working well, we usually use drones or we use helicopters. That's how high they are because of the voltage that they carry. The distribution is what they're more localized. So transmission lines come into our local distribution systems or substations where they're stepped down to be able to go to your homes and your businesses to power your different electrical use, for your use. So some of those charges are incorporated into the infrastructure costs, and of course there's definitely charges to maintain our system. We pride ourselves on ensuring that customers have safe and reliable energy, and there's a cost to maintain that infrastructure. And then, of course, for our skilled workers in the field who are operating and maintaining that system, those salaries come out of those fees as well. And then there's a customer charge, which is associated to paying our customer service and our billing employees who support our customers with their customer service information. We also have public benefits related charges, which include financial assistance for residences, some of the renewable energy on behalf of the state, and then, things like solar, energy efficiency, vehicle incentive programs, the electric and vehicle incentive programs. And I'll talk a little bit about energy efficiency a little bit later, because, you're already paying for that. So there's some things with the Mass Save program that you should be taking advantage of. All right, so here we go, energy efficiency overview. And I'll just make this pretty quick. Um, Energy efficiency, the bottom line is it's a process, it's a program. It is different actions that customers can take to save energy, lower their cost, improve their comfort, help to support our reliable energy system, because there's things that you can do to conserve energy during peak demands and increase your usage when there's lower peak demands. And of certainly, energy efficiency supports our environmental and climate goals. More specifically, um, for those of you who are homeowners, there's a really good program that is offered through Mass Save. And Mass Save is a program that's offered to all Massachusetts residents, where they can either get a home energy assessment. You know, it, fortunately, we live in the Northeast, but unfortunately, our housing stock is older. And so with that comes oftentimes inefficient kind of home uh, health. So things like our windows are older, insulation may be older, our attics are not insulated, some basements are not finished. And so there's a lot of energy that goes out of older homes. And so an energy audit, which is available to all customers and there's no charge to have someone come in and do an energy audit. They will give you a report, and that report will identify areas where you can take advantage of programs, rebates to make your homes more airtight. The question has come up about renters. Renters also can take advantage of these home energy assessments. If there are any changes or any repairs that need to be done to your rental unit, you do have to have a conversation with your landlord, and you do also have to get permission for any changes or repairs that need to be made as a result of the recommendations from the assessment. But these are really good. There's a lot of, again, discounts and rebates. Some folks have been able to get windows replaced free. So there's so many different programs, and I will say, because you're already paying for this benefit, take advantage of it. And then there's some tips to help reduce energy usage at home. Again, usage is going to be very important. The better that you can manage your usage, it has a direct correlation to a lower bill. So things like, setting your thermostat, and unfortunately this year, because it's been so cold, folks have been turning up their thermostat instead of turning it down. But we do recommend that you set your thermostat and leave it, when you're constantly adjusting. That also will increase your usage, because when you turn down your thermostat when you're leaving home, for instance, and you turn it back up when you're home, sometimes your system is you working harder to get that temperature back up to the unit that you want it to be. And then, on warm, sunny days, I know in the winter we usually keep our drapes closed, but what that causes you to do is to turn on lights. So if you open up your windows, that lets the sunshine in, and then you don't have to use as much lights at home. Changing furnace filters is something that we don't often do. I've seen some filters and they're pretty dusty. So changing your filter so that your system is not working as hard is a really good tip. And also washing in cold water. I did mention that if you come home and you turn your washing machine on, say at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, when most people are home and turning on their washing machines, you may get more efficient usage, more efficiency if you turn on your washing machine, say at 11 o'clock at night when peak usage is not an issue. And then, of course, turning off your lights. I do want to talk about the phantom power. Some folks don't, there is a thing called phantom power. So that basically is when you've got a lot of devices that are plugged in, and even though you don't have the TV on, if it's plugged in, you got all the other devices that are associated with have the sound bars that are associated with watching good TV. Um, when they're not in use, all those devices are pulling small limits of electricity. So we do recommend you, if you have power strips, and you will get good power strips when you do the home energy assessments. They do leave nice freebies, one being a nice power strip, and sometimes they also leave thermostats, aerators for your taps, etc. Um, there's a nice power strip that you can plug your devices into and then power that off, and that will shut off a lot of your electronics. So that's just another tip that you can use, and I'm sure many of you have some other tips that you use to help manage your usage. So let's talk about the programs to help. This is also an area where most people are very interested in. And this, Kathy, certainly pipe in if you've got anything to add. So we do have medical and financial hardship protections. You do have to be on a discount rate to take advantage of a medical and a financial hardship protection. Most customers can declare themselves as being financially, um, and on the medical side, if you have a serious health condition, your doctor can send a note in to the company, letting them know that you need a medical protection. These protections, basically, you still have to pay your bills, but what they do is they put a protection, which means that the company will never turn off your electricity for any reason. Now, you do have to re-up your financial and your medical requests for protections. And Kathy, I'll just let you add if there's anything else you want to add for the medical and financial protections.
Yes, so the medical and financial protection, financial hardship protection is really during this financial moratorium. Because we don't shut off any gas customers, whether or not they're financial hardship or not. But in the winter, we do shut off electricity. It's harder, we have to go to the door and make sure that they understand we're shutting them off and we have to have contract, but we do shut off electric in the winter. So what you want to do, and as advocates, we can do is they, customers can self-declare winter protection. That's financial self-declare, okay? So they can get, they
Sorry,
can get self.
Kathy, can I have you pause for just a sec? Um, uh, ASL interpreters, are you also having a little trouble with the audio on Kathy's?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the interpreter speaking. It's a struggle to understand. I do apologize.
So I'm
No
wondering
problem.
if you could start over and we could just see. I'm sorry, Kathy. It's just a feeling sounding a little garbled on our end.
Yeah, I know. I think it's my computer. I'm sorry. I'm getting a new one at the end of the month. Can you hear me better now? I just tried to stick my microphone right in there. Can you hear me better?
Just slow down a little, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go on to the New Start program. So the New Start program is a really good program, and it helps customers eliminate outstanding balances over a 12-month period when you make on-time monthly payments. So Kathy, do you want to explain that program or do you want me to explain it?
I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. Am I still garbled?
I
Just
think
speak
it's
up.
a little better. If you speak up and slowly, I think we can do it.
Okay, I still want to go back to the medical protection. All right. So medical protection, there's two types, serious and chronic. A serious illness is like a customer breaks their leg and they can't work. That's a 3 month protection. A chronic illness is a 6 month protection. And that's, if it's a chronic illness, you're not going to probably get better, but you need some help. So there's two different protections. Both of those protections require financial hardship proof. There's also what's not listed is an infant protection. So if a baby's under 1 in the household, that's a protection too. That also goes along with financial hardship. But we also have a senior protection, which is very important. The senior protection is if everybody over 65 is in the household, that this is the only protection that has nothing to do with income. It just is a safety protection. So say, God forbid, they're in the hospital and they can't pay, they just don't even know, no one's watching them. They can never be shut off. Now, of course, you still owe, but the protections is not to be shut off, really. So that's just what I wanted to say about the protections. Now,
So go to get started.
am I doing pretty good?
Yeah, just speak up.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm like right near my microphone, kind of yelling. I don't know what's going on. So the New Start Forgiveness Program, that's the best program we offer. Now, with the New Start, you have to be on the discount rate. So I always look at people on the discount rate first. You have to owe more than 300 in arrears, more than 60 days. But the New Start program is the best program because it's like a fresh start. So you don't have the ability to pay this huge bill, but you have the ability to pay your average bill going forward. And every time you pay that on time every month, your average bill, it's like a budget. We will forgive 1/12 of your debt, no matter what it is. We up to 12,000 a year. So it's a huge program. So that's one of the best programs we offer. But again, you have to be on the discount rate.
Keep going, Kate.
Oh, all customers, with the flexible payment plan, all customers, regardless of income, are offered a payment plan. And it's just a little bit, maybe you can't pay this, but it just is spread over time, up to 12 months.
Okay, let me take this one. So customers can be eligible for a 42% discount off of their electricity bill. And that is definitely based on some criteria. You do have to have a household income at or below 60% of the median state income. So if you look below here on the screen, it will give you what the federal income guidelines are. So if you, for instance, if you have a household of 4, the household income has to be 99,573 or less. And you also have to be receiving public assistance benefits. Kathy, do you want to just review the different assistant benefits that would make customers eligible?
Yes. So the very, common ones are fuel assistance, SNAP benefits, DTA Mass Health. That's probably the most common that you'd see. There are some veterans benefits. Um, free reduced lunch is not a qualifying benefit anymore because most schools in Mass are reduced lunch. So what we'd have to do for that one is the school can provide that the child is eligible for free lunch based on the income. And the other thing is public or subsidized housing. in some cases is a benefit. We just need the rent share, it's called the tenant rent share portion, and that's how they qualify that.
Okay.
And every year, the benefit level goes up. So if somebody called last year and said, I wasn't eligible, have them try it and check again because the income levels go up. I mean, for instance, four in the household, you have to make less than 99,573, which people might not even realize they're eligible for it.
Exactly. So that's a key point for you and for your clients. Okay, so then we do partner with different programs, and so we did mention fuel assistance is a great option available to customers to help them with their heating bills. And certainly if you are eligible for fuel assistance, that will you can use that as one criteria to see if you are eligible for the discount rate. There's also a good neighbor energy funds, and these are offered through the local Salvation Armies throughout the state. These are financial assistance grants that can be made available to residents, typically on a one-time basis per year, for overdue utility bills. There's no income eligibility criteria. They don't ask too many questions around, whether you have different services. It is a grant that's available, and we do want to make sure that customers know that this is an energy fund, an emergency fund, we like to say, that is available. And I believe last year the amount was close to $400 per person that they give out, and you do not have to pay that back. So certainly if reach out to your local Salvation Army and they can tell you more about that Good Neighbor Energy Fund. And then energy efficiency, as I mentioned earlier, Mass Save is the partner that Massachusetts has. You can go on their website. There's a lot of good information about different tips and resources and rebates that are available to make your homes more efficient. So I'm not sure if anybody on this call has a heat pump, but there is a new heat pump rate that came out last November, and that rate was reduced this year. And so, sorry. If you do have a heat pump, if you do have a heat pump, and we are aware of it, you will automatically be enrolled in the new rate. If you don't have the new rate, or you question whether or not you have the most current rate, you can reach out to us and we can make sure that you are on the new rate for those of you who have heat pumps. All right, so last but not least, I want to talk about protecting you from scams. So Eversource released a press release about 2 or 3 weeks ago about scams. National Grid also did the same thing, because what we have been seeing is a lot of our customers have been falling victim to scams. And so we want to make sure that customers are aware that there are people out there who are looking to take advantage of our customers. Eversource representatives always carry company issued photo IDs, and should and will provide it when asked. If there's a contractor that's working on the system on our behalf, they are going to always carry information to explain what they're doing there and what kind of work they should be doing. Eversource will never call any of our customers and demand payment over the phone. We will never call our customers and ask for their account number. We know your account number. We will never call you asking you for your banking information. We've heard stories where one customer has, thought they were talking to the company. They provided their banking information, and next thing they knew, their account was wiped out. We will never call a customer, and these are some of the examples that we've heard. We will never call a customer and offer a gift card if you decide to make a payment over the phone. We will always, if we're looking for payment, we will always do so in writing. And we give customers options on how to redeem their or address their outstanding bill. We will never call and demand payment over the phone. And just be careful about emails. Customers have also been receiving texts, and some of those texts are not from the company. So just be aware. What I always tell customers, if somebody's calling, hang up the phone and then call back. That way you are in control of the call and you can, at least you know who you have contacted. All right. So this is where I'll turn it back over to Greta. If there's any, to address any questions that may have come in the chat that Kathy or I could answer. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And certainly we are available. And I also do want to say that any person on this call who would like to have us take a review of your bills, because we typically would do this in person and we'd have someone there who could look at your bills and tell you whether or not you're eligible. Maybe you can send your information to Greta, your name and contact information. Greta can get that to us and we can reach back out. And again, I also want to make the offer to do this presentation and come and make this information available to your clients. So Greta, let me turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much to you both for being here today and to our interpretation team. Thank you. And thank you for wading through tech to make sure that I think those points were super important. So really grateful that we kind of doubled back. I don't see questions in the chat, but I would love, we are here for a bit more. So I'd love if anyone has questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or to go ahead and unmute yourself. That's totally fine. Oh, can you explain a smart meter, please?
I'll just stop sharing my screen.
That's great.
Yeah, so good question. So this year, actually last year, Eversource and National Grid rolled out smart meters. So these smart meters, they typically they're accompanied by an app. So the meters, through the app, you're supposed to be able to see your usage. You should be able to see, when you're using more electricity versus when you're using less, so that you can manage your things like when you run your washing machine or it will tell you how many kilowatt hours you're using at a particular time, so that you can disconnect from your power to conserve energy. So that's, and the reason why a lot of meters are being also replaced is it's like anything else. The meters that were there for a while, they're dated, they're not working as efficiently. We've had some that have malfunctions. And so these are smart meters. And so I know that there's some questions that have come in about the meters, and I know that, the regulators are looking at some of the questions and concerns that customers have brought up about some of the meters. But I know in Eastern Mass, we did Eversource rolled out meters in Western Mass in 2025, and then looking to roll them out this year. But one of the benefits of these smart meters is that there's an app, excuse me, that you can just monitor usage and manage your usage better. So That's what I know about smart meters.
That's great. Thank you. We have a couple of questions about high demand too. And so, which you touched on. So can you go a little bit more specifically, what are high demand hours, or can you ballpark that a little bit for us? And are folks charged more when they use electricity during high demand time?
Yeah, that's a good question. So no, you're not charged more. It's just it's a peak demand issue. So when you think about it, right, we're on a grid, and so the grid can be taxed during certain times. So I'll give you an example. In the summertime, when it's really hot and everybody has their AC going, our system is taxed. And sometimes the company will put out an alert and say, can you, if you can, because some people do need, AC at a certain temperature, whether it's for health issues or what have you. But sometimes we'll put out an alert and saying the system is being taxed. Can you turn down your AC a couple of notches just to help with that peak demand? So and it's the same thing. And you sometimes you'll hear the AC grinding. Sometimes that's because there's a lot of people using it all at the same time. So that's the peak demand is really about everybody on the system at the same time. That's why I say, if you come home at 5 o'clock, and there's been some studies about when people run their washing machines, etc. If you want, most people run their washing machines as soon as they get home from work. And so that's where you've got some heavy usage again. So if you run it a little bit later, it probably will run more efficient. So that's a peak demand issue. But there's no cheaper rates, there's no changes to rates. It's just the time of use.
And might impact like a blackout or a brownout, right? Like it can contribute to
It
like
could.
big grid failure if we're all
Yes,
using.
it could, in those times when it's really hot. Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions that are a little more specific, but I want to just, again, I know you both said it, but I want to plug that we're going to do this session again. And we also, I'm going to share out our Eversource friends information. They would like to take this show on the road and include kind of a clinic component to this. So if anyone wants to either talk out one-on-one kind of client questions, or to have clients be able to come and kind of look at their bills and look at what options are available to them for supports. That's something we want to help make happen. So that's the plug. And then here's a specific question that actually might be universal for a lot of folks. So specifically, I have a client that uses a CPAP machine and lives on a main road. So she uses a noise machine. Do you give discounts for someone like her that lives on a fixed income? So maybe talk a little more about that medical support. Yeah.
I put that in the chat, but
Oh, you did.
discounts,
You said great.
yeah, just discounts are based on income. So to get on the discount, you really need to have, it's just a benefit. So you have to, you have to prove that you are on a fixed income. So you have to apply for something like Mass Health Food Stamp Fuel Assistance.
And so something like a letter from one of our advocates would not suffice. It needs to be a state recognized or federally recognized program, right?
Because we're regulated, so we
Yeah.
have to, yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other questions, friends? I don't know, I can't really see, I can't see you. So use your actual voice or drop a question in the chat if you have one.
I don't
Especially
really have a questions, but I really want to thank Kathy, Greta,
Well,
and
that's
Allison.
that's Sweens if you don't recognize her voice.
And I want to say like they, especially Kathy, I have like a great relationship with Kathleen, and I know that we're working with different population that really needs like the type of like a support, like in terms of like how to say that not really the new start program, but sometimes like how to get like medical protection and all these type of things. And I don't know, Allison, if you're available, but sometimes like it's good like we can have like some type of relationship where we can call either, I know sometimes I email Kathleen if I have a question, if they can email you, sometimes directly if we have something very urgent like we're dealing with our participant.
So, Sweet LLC, I've been teaming up with her, but she works in a different department and she does most of the presentations. And
Okay.
it's working out really well. I'm still the one who would look at the bill or look at the discount rate on a customer's bill. So I still it. You still have to
Yes.
email them.
So what I will do is I think our friends have offered to share the materials that they shared today. And I'll share the recording. So I'll send that out to you all on the list, or if you came a different way through whatever registration. So I'll send that out to you, as well as clarification about who to get in touch with who, for what, with whom for what. So to book like a training and a clinic, I think for one answer, and then questions about bills another, right? So we'll be explicit about that in the follow-up email, so that, and I can make connections too. So we'll make sure that folks are getting access to this resource, because I think it's really important. And especially right now, right? Rates, my bill was astronomical. Rates are like, it's been cold, right? It's like we're all, I think, feeling it. And especially for folks that are navigating so many financial hardships, I think it would be great for folks to be able to access these programs and to understand what means what, right? Like what do all these numbers that are scary to me mean? And how do I kind of get control of them?
There's one other question I have. Are most of your clients in Massachusetts? Because our department covers Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. Those are the three states that Eversource does business with. And so I'm in all three states. So are most of your clients in Mass, or are you spread in other states?
So we are the Massachusetts Coalition. So the programs that are here today are mostly serving survivors in Massachusetts. However, folks have to move because of, all of us have reasons to move, but also for safety concerns, right? So all of the reasons people move. Also, folks along the borders are accessing services wherever they can, and so may be in New Hampshire, in Rhode Island. So that is the first answer to that question, but I'm looking just at the list of who's here, and I do see folks from across the state, all areas of the state. And putting a pin publicly to say I can connect you with our friends in other states, in your other catchment area. The coalition's there too. You can hold me to that, everybody. You can keep me accountable. But are there any other questions from either or present? I'm going to look one more time. Okay. There are some other questions. Here, everyone gets excited in the last few minutes. Okay. How do Eversource assistance programs define household for income? Yeah. So adults and kids, or just adults. So you're using the AMI, right? So how are you defining household?
Okay, so I typed.
You typed it. Do you want me to read it, since you're having a microphone?
Is it better now? Is my microphone
Yeah,
better now?
it is a bit better.
So like lean down. So anyways, so what you want to do, anybody, you want to claim all the everybody that lives in the house, okay? Now they do, when you go for benefits, they're going to ask you what's the money that those help. So if there's adult kids, living there and making wages, yeah. I mean, does the parents claim them? I have no idea. But if they're under 18 and they have these jobs, like, kids do work. My kids did. And they won't ask for that money because they're not contributing to the household. But you definitely, if you have 4 people in the household, you want to say 4 people because it's a bigger, it's a bigger threshold. So
And
does that make a lot?
those of you with children, we know how much laundry those people create, so we know how much energy they use, right? So income is everybody making an income, but household is all the humans in the household, right?
Because no one's going to ask you to count your kids that are like 16 and get their first job. No one would have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I heard the agencies are making it, because of the government shutdown, all this stuff, the agencies are making it so much better, like to get on fuel systems and making it so much easier. I've heard that from a lot of people. Like, if you want to apply for fuel systems, I guess it used to be very tough in the past. And it's not like that anymore. I got my father on, and it wasn't, I did it online, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, and the need has increased, due to the cold weather and the affordability issues that customers are facing. So a lot of the agencies are just really making it easier, and they are not drilling the customers the way that they did in the past.
And the other
So-
thing is the immigrant status. So many immigrants are so afraid to apply for anything, so they're trying to make it as easy as possible.
So about that, that's a good question. So some of these means tested programs are no longer available, or that's changing.
Right.
And so are there other what does that mean for folks who might not be documented?
It's so hard because we don't even know what's going to happen. So, okay, so you can't get SNAP benefits, I believe, if you're a legal immigrant anymore, right? Okay, so that's one. It's changing so much. I really don't know. You have to talk to the fuel agency, but I believe they still can get fuel assistance. I don't know anymore. Everything's changing. I really don't. But public or subsidized housing is a way to get on. Now
Okay.
that's definitely
Okay. So
but I'm pretty sure that
any
yeah,
federal
benefits.
programs, so federal vouchers, anything like that. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm sure, thank you all very much. I'm sure that there are going to be questions. So Kathy, keep your email open. No, but we'll make some connections, and we're going to be back here in April when there's going to be no snow, but we're going to be turning on our air conditioners, right? So we're going to be thinking about energy in a different way. Maybe not in April. Maybe we have a couple months of respite in between. But I'm super grateful to you all for being here today. And I will be in touch with the recording and the materials very soon. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.